Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. God led you here on purpose. This is more than a video or content. It's a divine appointment, a heavenly reminder that what you've been through wasn't wasted. It was witness. Everything you survived, every silent battle you faced was preparing you for this moment of revelation. You may not see yourself the way heaven sees you, but let this truth settle in your spirit. Your life is a living, breathing response to the world's question. Is God real? While others search for signs in the sky, God points to you. While skeptics doubt, heaven whispers your name. You are the evidence that God still speaks, still heals, and still chooses. You didn't survive by chance. Your story carries more power than you know, because it doesn't just inspire, it answers. Now let's break this down into 7 divine chapters so you can fully see how your life confirms what many refuse to believe, that God is not only real, He is still moving through you. Before we go any deeper, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because this isn't just another video, it's a divine confirmation that you are the proof the world has been waiting for. If your spirit resonates with this, type 77 in the comments right now. That number isn't just symbolic, it's a sacred signal to heaven that you recognize your role as a walking answer in a world full of questions. It tells God, I'm awake, aligned, and ready to be used as evidence of your glory. Not everyone will finish this message, only those truly called. But those who do will receive clarity, spiritual insight, and a bold awareness of what they carry and why they've been chosen to carry it. This isn't content, it's living revelation. Don't just listen once. Come back as often as your soul needs, because each time you hear it, a new truth will rise from within. This is the kind of word that grows with you. This is the kind of word that reveals who you truly are. The answer to the world's doubt that God still lives and moves through people like you. Let's dive deeper. Chapter 1. You survived what should have destroyed you. Chosen one, let's begin with what most people overlook: your survival. You're not here today because everything went right. You're here because God held you when everything was falling apart. The things you endured weren't small, they were heavy. They were the kind of experiences that crush most people. You faced battles in silence, cried behind closed doors, and walked through seasons where no one really knew the weight you were carrying. But even with all that, you're still here. That is not ordinary. That is supernatural. You survived heartbreak that should have hardened you. You survived betrayal that should have made you bitter. You survived mental battles that should have left you in a place you couldn't come back from. You survived seasons of lack, isolation, and confusion. Not because you had all the answers, but because something bigger than you refused to let go of you. That something was God. He was the unseen strength behind your quiet endurance. When you felt like you were breaking down, He was the one holding your spirit together. People assume miracles are always big, bold, and public. But survival, especially when no one sees how hard it is one of the greatest miracles of all. You didn't just go through the fire, you came out refined, not burned. And you didn't just escape, you grew, you matured, you awakened. There were moments when your mind felt like it was unraveling. Moments when you questioned why you were even here. You prayed prayers that felt like they went unanswered. You watched others rise while you were hidden, overlooked, and left behind. But even in that darkness, God was doing His deepest work in you. He was developing roots. He was protecting your spirit. He was preserving your destiny. You didn't lose your light. You were learning how to carry it in dark places. You lost things, relationships, opportunities, time. But you didn't lose yourself. That's the part that confuses people. They saw the hits you took. They knew the pressure you were under. But they can't explain why you still smile, why you still love, why you still dream. That's the evidence. That's what makes your life a testimony. When people ask, "Where was God during the hard times?" they don't need a theological debate. They need to look at you. Your existence is the answer. Your survival is the sermon. Your life says clearly, "God was there, because I'm still here." And now that you've survived what was meant to end you, you're about to walk in what was always promised to you. The storm didn't stop your destiny. It prepared you for it. Chapter 2. Your rise makes no natural sense. Chosen one, take a moment and really look at your journey. The path you've walked, the resistance you faced, and the places God has taken you. None of it adds up in the natural. There are people with the education, the money, the social status, the support system, and yet they haven't risen the way you have. They had a straight road. You had mountains. They had assistance. You had attacks. But somehow, you keep rising. Somehow your name keeps coming up. Somehow, favor keeps following you into rooms you weren't even supposed to enter. This is where the world gets confused, because your rise doesn't fit their formula. You didn't come from a powerful family. You weren't born into opportunity. You didn't have a platform, a spotlight, or even a map. What you had was faith. What you had was obedience. What you had was a divine assignment that couldn't be explained, only fulfilled. They underestimated you. They dismissed you. Some even tried to block you. But God had already spoken over your life long before they had an opinion. Heaven marked you for elevation before anyone knew your name. That's why nothing they did could stop you. They didn't realize you weren't depending on them. You were being positioned by God Himself. This rise you're walking in now is not a result of strategy or striving. It's a result of surrender. When you bowed your will, God began to raise your influence. When you chose humility over hype, God began to prepare a table for you in the presence of your enemies. Not because you were loud, but because you were loyal. Not because you were perfect, but because you were chosen. And now, people look at you and wonder how you're still standing, how you're still progressing, how you keep advancing in spite of everything that was supposed to hold you back. But they're asking the wrong question. It's not how, it's who. It's not the method, it's the source. And the source is God. The world loves logic, but your life disrupts logic. They can't explain your rise because it didn't come through conventional paths. It came through prayer. It came through fire. It came through private battles and silent seasons. It came through nights when no one saw you cry, but God saw you worship. And now, the same people who counted you out are watching God count you in. You don't need to explain yourself. Your life speaks for you. You are walking evidence that when God puts His hand on a person, no system, no structure, and no strategy can stop the outcome. Your rise is a prophetic sign that purpose always outweighs position. So keep rising, even when it confuses them. Keep obeying, even when they mock you. Because your elevation isn't just for you. It's for those watching, wondering if God still chooses people to carry His power in this generation. And when they see you, they'll know the answer is yes. Chapter 3. You carry a peace that can't be bought. Chosen one, let's talk about something rare, something powerful, something money can't buy and the world can't manufacture. Your peace. The peace you carry isn't surface level or situational. It doesn't come and go with the news cycle or shift depending on who's around you. It's deeper than that. It's anchored in something eternal. While others are tossed around by fear, anxiety, and chaos, there's something settled in you, something still, something unshakable. You see, this peace didn't come from wealth. It didn't come from achievement. It didn't come from validation, applause, or social approval. It came from one place: intimacy with God. It came from the wilderness. It came from the nights you had no one else but Him. It came from the tears you cried when no one knew, and the strength you found in His presence when everything around you was collapsing. People try to understand how you keep showing up with grace, how you move with gentleness even after betrayal, how you speak life when you've had death spoken over you. But they don't realize your joy isn't the result of ease. It's the result of endurance. Your calm didn't come from comfort. It came from the fire. You earned that peace in the storm. You discovered that stillness when the noise was deafening. You gained that rest in places where you should have been restless. You've had moments where you were grieving, and still you praised. You were in lack, and still you gave. You were abandoned, and still you chose to love. That's not weakness. That's power. That's what makes you a threat in the spirit. Because the enemy threw everything at you to disturb your soul. But you found your center in God. And once a soul is anchored in God, there is nothing external that can steal its rest. This peace makes you untouchable in ways the world can't understand. You're not controlled by headlines. You're not shaken by gossip. You're not undone by delay. Because your roots aren't in what you see. They're in who you know. And every time someone gets close to you, they sense something different. They feel a stillness, a calm, a quiet strength that isn't natural. It's divine. That's when your life begins to speak without saying a word. Because peace is a testimony. Peace is proof. When people ask, "Why aren't you panicking like the rest of us?" your very presence answers, "Because I know who walks with me." You don't have to defend your stability. It defends itself. You've been through too much to not know where your help comes from. And because you know Him, you lack nothing, not even peace. Your peace is evidence. It testifies that God is not only real, He is near. And the next time someone looks at your calm and wonders where it comes from, let them look deeper. Because what they're really seeing is the residue of God's presence resting on your life. And that kind of peace can't be bought, can't be copied, can't be faked. It can only be given by the one who lives within you. Chapter 4. You forgave what broke you. Chosen one, your forgiveness is one of the clearest signs that God is alive and working through you. People don't realize what you had to let go of. The betrayal, the lies, the manipulation, the wounds that cut deep, and not just once, but again and again. There were people who damaged you and never looked back, people who hurt you deeply and acted like nothing happened. And yet, you chose to forgive. You chose to release what you had every right to hold on to. But here's the divine truth. You didn't forgive because they deserved it. You forgave because you were set apart. You forgave because carrying that bitterness would have poisoned the purpose God put in you. You didn't do it for them. You did it with God. And you did it for your future. Because forgiveness is freedom. It's not weakness. It's strength. It's not forgetting. It's releasing the weight so you can rise into what God has for you. The world teaches revenge. It says, make them pay, hold a grudge, cut them off forever. But you were never called to move like the world. You carry something higher. You chose release over resentment. And that kind of choice doesn't come from your flesh. It comes from the Spirit. It comes from walking so closely with God that His mercy starts flowing through your veins. You didn't just forgive people who apologized. You forgave people who never admitted what they did. People who blamed you. People who gossiped about you. People who acted like your pain didn't matter. And still, you let it go. Still, you chose peace over payback. That's not normal. That's not natural. That's supernatural. That's the kind of power that confuses the enemy because he threw pain at you and you turned it into purpose. You've cried and still shown compassion. You've been abandoned and still stayed soft. You've been broken and still extended grace. And every time someone witnesses that softness in you, that gentleness after all that sorrow, they're seeing God. Whether they recognize it or not, they're experiencing a love this world doesn't teach. They're standing in front of someone who should be bitter, but is still full of light. And when they ask, "How is that even possible?" your life answers, "This is what grace looks like. This is what God can do to a healed heart. This is what real freedom feels like." Chosen one, your forgiveness isn't just personal, it's prophetic. It reveals a God who still restores, still redeems, and still rewrites the story. And the deeper you forgive, the higher He lifts you. Because a clean heart is a magnet for divine promotion. And you, the one who forgave the people who broke you, you are about to be raised by the same God who healed you. Chapter 5. Your faith defied facts. Chosen one, your entire life has been a contradiction to what people expected. The world looked at your circumstances and saw limits. They saw statistics, disadvantages, missing pieces, and reasons why you would never rise. But what they didn't see was the power of faith alive inside of you. Faith that refused to bow to what the facts said. There were moments where the facts were undeniable. The resources were low. The opportunities were non-existent. The doors were closed. The support was gone. The environment you were in didn't support growth. And yet, you kept growing. Not because everything around you was working in your favor, but because your spirit refused to quit. There was something in you that believed beyond what your eyes could see. You believed in healing before you felt it. You believed in provision before you received it. You believed in purpose even when your life felt like it was falling apart. That belief wasn't based on a fantasy. It was based on your connection with God. You knew that what He spoke over your life would come to pass, no matter how impossible it looked in the moment. And so you walked by faith, not by sight, step after step, day after day. Even when nothing made sense, you kept moving. Your prayers weren't always loud, but they were consistent. Your worship wasn't always public, but it was pure. You held on to your promise when everything in the natural world said it was too late. You kept showing up. You kept obeying. You kept trusting. You didn't know how God would do it, but you knew He would. That quiet confidence, that unwavering trust, that's what set you apart. People assumed your story would end where it started. They thought your background would define your ceiling, but your faith in God tore the ceiling off your life. It created space for miracles to manifest. It opened doors you didn't knock on. It placed your name in places your feet hadn't yet reached, not because of who you knew, but because of who you trusted. The facts said you shouldn't be here. The facts said you should have lost your mind, given up, or faded away quietly. But your faith overruled the facts. Your faith spoke louder than fear. It stood taller than obstacles. And now, your life is evidence. Living proof that God responds to belief. There are people watching you now who don't understand how you got here. They see the fruit, but they don't know the fight. They see the glow, but they don't know the grind. They don't realize that every step you took was a step on water, trusting that God would hold you up when there was nothing solid beneath your feet. You are where you are today because you believed when it didn't make sense. You didn't wait for the perfect time. You moved when God said move. And now, the same people who doubted you will have no choice but to acknowledge that there was something greater guiding you all along. Chosen one, your life is not logical, it's spiritual. It's not a story of luck, it's a story of faith. And your faith didn't just carry you, it qualified you. It made a way through the impossible. It built a bridge over the broken places. It created space for destiny to unfold. Let the world try to explain it. Let them try to rationalize it. They never will, because your life defies the rules they trust in. Your life proves that facts may form the problem, but faith unlocks the promise. Chapter 6. You changed without losing who you are. Chosen one, let's take a moment to acknowledge what most will never understand. It takes divine strength to go through what you went through and not become someone you were never meant to be. Life tried to change you, but it didn't win. Pain tried to harden you. Betrayal tried to make you cold. Loneliness tried to make you bitter. Success tried to inflate your ego, but through it all, you remained true. Not perfect, but true. Not untouched, but unshaken in your identity. You grew, but you didn't grow apart from your soul. You transformed, but you never abandoned your light. So many lose themselves in the process of survival. They survive the storm, but come out looking nothing like who they were before. They trade authenticity for approval. They let pride rise in the place of purity. But you chose the narrow path. You said no to bitterness and yes to becoming better. You didn't let pain rewrite your character. You let God rewrite your story. And He didn't take away who you are. He refined it. There's something sacred about the way you kept your heart intact through so many dark nights. You were tested in silence. You were stretched in private. You were reshaped without becoming someone unrecognizable. Your laughter didn't die. Your gentleness didn't leave. Your compassion only grew stronger. You became more discerning, but not disconnected. You became more careful, but not closed off. That's rare. That's holy. That's the fingerprint of God. People can't figure it out. They look at your journey and expect to find someone hard, guarded, angry. Instead, they find someone grounded, humble, and radiant with purpose. You should be colder, but you're warmer. You should be harsher, but you're softer. And this isn't weakness, it's evidence. It proves that the Spirit of God lives in you, because only He can take someone through deep waters and still preserve their soul. And let's be honest, you had every reason to become bitter. You had every reason to close your heart and never open it again. But instead of building walls, you built wells. Instead of pushing people away, you chose to heal, to forgive, to evolve with grace. You did the internal work no one applauded you for. You had late nights of prayer, of crying out, of surrendering your emotions at the feet of God. You asked Him to cleanse you, not just comfort you, to purify, not just pacify. That's why your transformation runs deep. It's not built on hype. It's built on holiness. It's not for show. It's for purpose. You weren't just restored to function. You were refined to lead, to guide, to reveal what true healing looks like. People see your glow, but they don't always know the cost. They feel your peace, but they didn't witness the process. That's okay, because God saw it all, and heaven celebrates the fact that through everything, you never lost the core of who He created you to be. Chosen one, your story is a sacred unfolding. The enemy thought he could break you by trying to break your identity, but all he did was push you deeper into who you truly are. And now, you're walking in a version of yourself that's not only healed, it's holy. You're not defined by the pain anymore. You're defined by the one who pulled you through it. And because you stayed true, because you didn't let this world twist your spirit, God is about to trust you with even more. More influence, more impact, more open doors, because He can trust someone who grows without forgetting where they came from. Someone who rises without leaving their integrity behind. Someone who changes but never lets go of their soul. You changed, but you didn't lose you. You rose, and you still reflect Him. That is your power. That is your proof. Chapter 7. You are a walking, breathing testimony. Chosen one, whether you realize it or not, your very existence is a revelation, a prophetic reminder to a doubting world that God is not only real, He is present. People search for signs, demand proof, argue scriptures, and question miracles. But what they don't always understand is that the most powerful testimony isn't always found in a pulpit or a sacred text. Sometimes it's found in a person. Sometimes it's found in you. You are a living answer to a question the world keeps asking. Is God real? And the answer? Yes. Look at me. Look at the one who was overlooked and still chosen. Look at the one who was betrayed and still loving. Look at the one who was broken and still rebuilt, stronger, wiser, purer. Look at the one who made it out of pits others didn't survive. Look at the one who carried the weight of pain, disappointment, and delay, and still walks in grace. Your life preaches without a microphone. Your energy shifts rooms before you say a word. Your scars speak volumes. Your silence has power. And your survival? That's a testimony all on its own. Not everyone knows the details of what you've walked through, but they feel the evidence when they're around you. There's something about your presence that carries peace, light, and authority. It's not pride, it's not ego, it's the residue of heaven on someone who's been touched by God. When others doubted if you'd rise again, when they whispered that it was over, God was writing a different chapter. He didn't just restore you, He reintroduced you as evidence. And now every time you laugh, every time you show up, every time you walk boldly in your purpose, you declare, God is real. Not because you're perfect, but because you're still here, still whole, still carrying light when life tried to snuff it out. You are not just healed, you are healing to others. You are not just chosen, you are a confirmation. You are not just favored, you are the fruit of faith. The world teaches performance and appearance, but you carry something that can't be staged. You walk with authenticity, with weight, with witness. People feel the shift when you enter a room because you carry glory that was birthed through suffering and refined in silence. And don't ever downplay that. Don't ever shrink back or second-guess your value. The way you keep showing up, the way you keep choosing love, the way you still smile with sincerity, that's not common. That's not something the world taught you. That's what God grew in you. And now, your story speaks even when your mouth is quiet. You are the story that couldn't be erased. You are the prayer that got answered. You are the miracle they didn't see coming. You are the light that darkness couldn't put out. The next time someone asks for a reason to believe, just be. Just stand tall. Just show up. Because your life is the sermon. You are the message wrapped in flesh, a living, breathing altar of what grace can do. And that's why the enemy fears you. That's why people are drawn to you. That's why atmospheres shift when you speak. You don't have to prove anything. You already are the proof. So walk like the evidence. Talk like the evidence. Live like the evidence. Because the truth is undeniable. God is real. And you are the proof.